Watching News at Prime, let's get you this conversation now, and we continue with our coverage of the Matric class of 2025's historic results. The Northern Cape was named the most improved province with an 87.79 percentage pass rate. The province coming sixth overall. Let's talk to the Premier, Dr. Zamani Saul, who joins us this evening. Premier, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. If you round off that percentage, it basically puts you exactly at the same level as the national pass rate, 88%. It's a marked improvement from the 84.2, which was recorded in 2024. To what do you attribute this improvement?
No, thank you very much, Claudia, for having us here as the Northern Cape. This improvement of this year is actually a development of 6 sustained years of increase grade 12 results. We started at a very low base. In 2020, our pass rate was at 66%, and we agreed that we'll have to put systems in place, channel funding into our public education system in order to ensure that we improve. In 2020, when we were standing at 66%, the number one province was Gauteng with 89%, which means the distance between us and the number one province was 23%.
Sure.
And today we can proudly say that the distance between us and the number one province, which is KZN, is only 2.6% now. What we wanted to do is to stage a major upset for the 2025 outcomes. That's what we intently wanted to do. That's the reason why we are pushing very hard for 90%, but we could not reach 90%. We are standing at 88%. We firmly believe we are going to push much harder this year in order for us to achieve this objective. There's a number of things that we did.
Yeah.
We modernized classrooms. We modernized classrooms in the province, and all our grade 12s had tablets with modern form of software, and as well as we increased the teaching population in the province. In 2020, we had only about 8,500 teachers, and now we are sitting with about 10,000 teachers. When all other provinces were retrenching teachers, we took a conscious decision at the Northern Cape that we are not going to retrench a single teacher, but what we did, we increased the number of teachers in our system. So all of that combined, and the commitment by the educators in the department, the strengthening of the capacity, the management capacity in the Department of Education really gave us this outcome. But what we're hoping for the class of 2025 is to stage a major upset. We're looking at ourselves as number one, and we've not abandoned that objective. We are going to work and push much harder this year.
Okay. All right, so let's tease out some of those building blocks that have helped you at least to achieve this marked improvement. The SASSA office, for those who may not know, this is the Social Security Agency that distributes social grants. It's been quoted widely when it comes to the results in the Northern Cape. The regional executive manager from the SASSA office quoted as saying, "This achievement demonstrates the power of social support interventions in creating an enabling environment." How many matriculants depend on social grants?
Social grants in the Northern Cape constitute a very significant proportion of our gross domestic product. The population of the province currently is standing at 1.4 million. And out of the 1.4 million, we've got 600,000 of the population of beneficiaries of SASSA grants. And if you include the social relief grant, which is the 350 Rand per month, it goes up to 800,000. So if you've got about 800,000 of your residents in a province with a population of about 1.4 million who are beneficiaries of social grant, that simply means social grant plays a very significant role in terms of households' livelihood. And you can't dispute that statement. It will have direct implications for for those poor families.
Yeah, I was just looking at those numbers, Premier, as you spoke. According to the agency, 11,710 matriculants from the class of 2025 were recipients of social grants. And so that means that moving on now from secondary education to tertiary education, those pupils are still going to need much more support. How do you plan to help them?
Yes, obviously in South Africa, we've got a very comprehensive social security net. And when a woman falls pregnant, she's got free access to medical attention. And then when she gives birth, depending on the circumstances and the socioeconomic situation in the household, they get a child grant. And when they go to primary schools, you've got the no-fee schools. And if they finish grade 12 and they qualify for NSFAS, they will get NSFAS to go to the university of their choice. So there should be no deserving child in terms of our comprehensive social security net in this country that should not be able to pursue their dreams because of the family socioeconomic situations. So we appreciate that, and I'm certain that the 11,000 plus who are social grant beneficiaries will definitely they have already made an application for NSFAS. But also as the Premier's office, we've got a Premier's bursary fund that disperses more than 20 million rand each and every year to poor and deserving students of the Northern Cape to go to post-matric training. That's the work that we are doing, and we received a whole lot of applications last year, which we are considering and will be finalizing now as the results are out. And most of the beneficiaries are beneficiaries from poor households.
Yeah.
Because you just need one person in each and every household to make that breakthrough and be a trend finder in order to ensure that to extricate families from intergenerational poverty.
Premier, as you mount this campaign, this major upset, already there are media articles that are placing not only your province, but KZN as well, which has really done well, #1 this year. They are saying that your schools face a readiness crisis with unions raising alarm. What are the major concerns from the Northern Cape?
There is no instance that will be perfectly ready for the opening of schools. Based on the budgetary constraints which are there will always be challenges, but we look at those challenges positively. What we need to do is to ensure that we respond to those challenges and ensure that we've got a smooth flow when we open our schools. So that's what we are working on, and we've pumped in more funding, and particularly in December, there was an extra 80 million rand which was made available for the Department of Education. If I can just give you a picture, Tony, our budget in the province is 23 billion rand. Education accounts for 9.1 billion of the 23 billion of the total budget. And if you add education and health, just both departments account for almost 80% of the 23 billion rand budget of the provincial government. So we can't be accused of not adequately funding public education in the province. If just education alone accounts for almost 40% of the budget of the province. So we are prioritizing education, and we agree that education is our apex program. And we've been pumping in as much as possible money in order to ensure that children from poor households, African children in the Northern Cape, are subjected to good quality public education.
Premier, as we taper down this conversation, earlier I spoke to the Professor of Education at Stellenbosch University, Professor Jonathan Jansen. This is someone that is well known in South Africa's education circles. And I'd like for you to just have a listen to his opinion of what his assessment is of this matric pass rate. Have a listen.
as you know, over the past several years, the constant increase in the results have defied both statistical and political gravity. But it's quite meaningless to have a 0.7 percent increase and then saying this is the best ever. And the reason, this hyping up of the results is as somebody who's been working intensely in a high school the past 2 years and for many years in my career, is that the truth. The truth is not what you heard from the minister. The truth is that, as she correctly said, particularly between grades 10 and 12, I mean, there's almost half of the kids who start in grade 2 just don't make it to grade 12. So what are we celebrating? We are celebrating a relatively small percentage of kids who started school in South Africa finishing 12 years of schooling. That is an embarrassment.
Premier, there is the opinion of Professor Jonathan Jansen, who says these results are meaningless. How do you respond?
Yeah, I think that argument by Professor Jansen is now tired. It's a stale argument. It's something that would raise each and every year after the announcement of the grade 12 results. What it does not take into cognizance is that it's not compulsory for a child to finish grade 12. Along the system makes provision for diversion. Children can go to TVET colleges without having grade 12. They can go to other training opportunities without getting to grade 12. So his argument is very tired, and he's unable even to tell us the children that are not accounted for at grade 12 where they are. And he just wants to assume that those children are in the street. There are some of them who are in the street, but there are some of them who have been diverted to certain training programs. We've got our own training program in the Northern Cape, where we've got about 22 young people with different sectors, and some of them have not finished grade 12. What that means is that they've been diverted to other different forms of training. So the argument is tired. We hear that each and every time after the grade 12 results have been announced. I thought as a well-known and seasoned academic, he was going to conduct a much greater in-depth investigation around this issue and try to assist the country to come with solutions than having to complain and moan about it every time when the grade 12 results are announced. I'm quite disappointed in him, because that's not the role of academics and intelligentsia in society, is to highlight the problem, go and do thorough research on it, come and assist in trying to find solutions on how best to solve it.
You sound like a person who listened to that conversation. And
I'm listening to that. I'm listening to him every year. That's what he says each and every year. There's nothing new.
Very briefly then, as we end the conversation, he seemed to suggest, in fact, he didn't suggest, he said it outright, that the Minister of Basic Education is poking her nose in areas where she doesn't belong when it comes to where do boys end up, the ones who drop off from the schooling system. He says there is a well-known drug scourge in the Western Cape, Cape Flats to be exact, and so those matters are not in the realm of the Basic Education Minister's portfolio, and therefore she must stop poking her nose, basically, in other people's business. Do you believe that is the correct assessment?
That's very lazy and disgusting. It's quite despicable for him to say that. The Minister of Education is serving in the Social Transformation Committee of the national government, which is a cabinet cluster. So she's got better purview and understanding of what is happening with regard to challenges confronted by the Department of Social Development. So what he wants to do is to straitjacket a minister of such critical portfolio only to focus on issues related to a teacher and a child and a learner. It can be. Education transformation is quite a wide area of operation. And the minister is part and parcel of the Social Transformation Committee, where she serves with her colleagues from Social Development, Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and all the other departments. So there's an integrated approach which the government tries to achieve. I'm sure he's one of the academics who would argue against the silo approach by government. And now when government starts to integrate the way they operate, it's got a problem with it.
All right.
So ministers, when they reflect on their work, I think it's fair for them to reflect on what is happening, which is related to other departments as so far as it impacts on their work. You can't speak of education and not speak about the implications of drug abuse on our children. There's absolutely no way. So this man is straight-jacketed. Speak about education, you want to hear about the learner and the educator. It does not work like that because education is a societal matter.
Premier Zamani Saul, thank you very much for your time, the Premier of the Northern Cape.